This is a two-set video sequence. First is going to be about the basics, and the second is going to be the practical one. So why are sit-ups bad? In order to explain you why sit-ups are bad, I brought you this little vertebra, and this is actually a lumbar vertebra. Why are sit-ups bad and what do we do instead? So why are sit-ups bad? The US Army just banned sit-ups, crunches from their program because it caused too much back pain. So why should we ban them as well? So the rectus abdominis, the main muscle for doing the crunches, flexes the spine. So it shortens the upper body, which also increases the pressure on the disc. So you have less space for your thorax, for your whole upper body, you have more pressure on the disc. They get closer by. And why is that bad? Why we do have discs in between our vertebrae, they should cushion this. Why is that bad? So the reason why this is bad is because we have two ligaments, one running in the front of the vertebrae. This is called the anterior longitudinal ligament, and we have a posterior one which is running in the back. And since, as you can see, there's all these appendices and processes, how we call them, to attach all kinds of muscles in the back of our vertebrae, there's not so much space for a ligament in the back. So the ligament in the back is much smaller, which means if we do a back bend, the disc actually can't slide forward. There's very little disc herniations where discs slide forward because the anterior, the front ligament, is very strong. Whereas the back ligament is very slim, very small. So if you do a forward fold, a forward bend, a flexion of the spine, then there's much greater chances that a disc manages to slide backwards. There's not so much holding from the ligaments. And as you can imagine, the more pressure we have on the disc, the more it wants to go somewhere else where there's no pressure, and that would be backwards then. So that explains why a flexion of the spine is much more dangerous in terms of disc herniation, pinching, all this kind of stuff than a back bend. So how do we protect our spine from injury? There are these muscles called multifidi, and those keep the vertebrae at a correct distance, at a safe distance, and in a safe position. So neither the disc nor the vertebrae can slip forward or backwards, create pinching. These little muscles attached to the processes and actually to the facet joints. Forget about this, but important to know, when these muscles work properly, your spine can work in a safe way without creating pinching of joint capsules and pinching of nerves. So you avoid a lot of pain if these muscles work correctly. Now, the problem with these multifidi muscles is that they can only work in a correct position. Now, what is a correct position? This is when the spine is neutral. Those muscles are stabilizers. There are no movement muscles, so they don't contract and extend like used from a biceps muscle, for example. So we found that when these multifidi are too weak, then these areas are prone to disc herniations. And also when these muscles are weak, they tend to go into a spasm, into a contraction, which also causes pain from that contraction. So now, how do we work instead? What do we do? So the good news is those multifidi, although you cannot switch them on by willpower, you can co-contract them with the transverse abdominus. This is the muscle that is shaping your waist, that is going all around your belly. So when contracting the transverse abdominus, especially the lower part, the multifidi co-contract and engage. So we can use this mechanism to work our multifidi. And second, they get activated by balance exercises and stabilizing exercises. And then last but not least, we need to make sure that the spasmic muscles, or those that might be too weak and in a spasm, that we release those by stretching exercises and relaxing exercises. So I hope now you have the basics on why don't we do crunches anymore, why they're bad for us, and which muscles do we need instead in order to have a strong core and to avoid back pain, prevent having any at all. And I hope you join me for the second video, which is going to be the pure workout that you can do 4 times per week for the rest of your life. Enjoy! Should be this way around.